My brothers and sisters in Christ, whoever does not love does not know God, as we're told in today's first reading. And this is a very important reminder for us, especially as we unpack the mysteries of the incarnation in these final days of the Christmas season, the gift of God's love manifested to us. He's let his face shine upon us, and in turn, we must be transformed by that love, the act of love that God has first manifested to us. And so in the world today, it's very easy, especially as there's conflict and disagreement, whether in the world at large or even within the church at times. And there's a tendency nowadays in this oppositional way of thinking for people to kind of dig in their heels, entrench, protect the truth as they know it. But we must remember that above all things, if God is love, as the first reading reminds us today, and the greatest commandment is love of God and love of neighbor, then this is the quintessential thing that defines us as Christian. And therefore, we can get everything else seemingly right. We can be the most orthodox person on the world. We can do all the right things, check all the right boxes. And yet, if we're not animated, motivated, acting in love, and even above love, acting in charity, then we're far away from God. St. Thomas Aquinas made that differentiation between the theological virtue of charity, which is above all things, and simple love. Often we think of the word of love. He would say that what we think of as love is the passion, in the sense of I love someone, I'm moved, whether it's in a sense of attraction and like romantic love, or just love of a friend, of course the old Greek different types of love. But the passion of love is that which like is a feeling that motivates us, whereas the virtue of charity is that which causes us to act, think, and speak in all ways out of the good of our neighbor and of God, for love of God and neighbor. Always about the other, not about myself. And so this is what must mark us, because God has so loved us, now we must love one another. And if we do everything else right, but fail in that, then we have nothing. Often at weddings, we hear the famous 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians. Couples love to pick the love is patient, love is kind reading, and yet often do not appreciate the context by which St. Paul delivers it. And that is the entire first letter of Paul to the Corinthians is a seething chastisement of the Church of Corinth, because amongst their divisions, they're doing all of these things and arguing, but nothing is motivated by love. And so at the end, Paul actually drives the dagger by saying, I'll show you a greater way. Forget all the things. Forget your orthodoxy. Forget the fact that you do this right. Forget your resume of accomplishments. I'll show you a greater love, a greater way. If you're without love, you are nothing. It's a chastisement. It doesn't mean those other things are unimportant. We must seek to do all of these things. But love is that thing that most defines us. If God is love, then we must, to be like God, we must love as God has loved us. And that means in all things, we must first seek the good of the other. Not my own interests, not being right, but to act on behalf of my neighbor and to act towards God with pure love. It's the gift. I've been given gift and now I must return that. My brothers and sisters, the Christmas season is one that is often marked with great charity, and what a wonderful thing. It's a time that we're called to especially think of the less fortunate. And often that's all we think of in that word of charity. Charity is terms like giving money to a cause, charitable giving. But in fact, it's an entire manner of life that we're called to do, not just during the Christmas season, but that the mystery of the Christmas season may enlighten us year-round. God has been made man for us. Love has been manifested to us, and now we must be transformed by the gift we have received so that we can be like God by loving him and one another. May God bless you all.